What up, everybody? Welcome to the IAG Thursday thing. This thing we do every Thursday, even when it's on Tuesday. I unfortunately have some family stuff I need to take care of, so we're gonna record this in our Discord like we do every week, but we're doing it on Tuesday instead of Thursday. But if you ever normally want to join these things, normally they're on Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. In our Discord, and you can actually join in the chat on the side. And as we record, we're reading the chat and answering questions. So if you ever wonder why it sounds like I'm looking in the chat answering a question, it's because I am. And that's how we do it. This week we're joined again. Man, I miss you, man. It used to be every week, and now it's like every 3 or 4 weeks. But I'm always stoked when you're here. My partner in crime, Warranty. What's up, Warranty? How you doing?
I'm doing all right. For the first time in probably ever, I worked on both Saturday and Sunday overtime trying to get things done. So I'm in my busy season, but I'm loving it, and the end is in sight. So it's good to be back.
Nice. I'm proud of you, bud. I'm proud of you. We're also joined by executive producer Jordan. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I can be better, yeah. But we're getting there. A lot of cool stuff happening with Boogie lately. We got a lot of things going on. How about yourself?
No, just like Warranty in my busy season. Getting all the RMA stuff back for work, so I've been working practically overtime to get them back out on the shelf.
You might be driving the BRZ a little bit this season. It's kind of
yeah, kind of in the rumor mill is my car financially will not be able to get track ready this year, and someone might be kind enough to lend me a car to race this season.
Yeah,
what a guy! Those are rare friends. Keep them close.
Yeah, we're gonna have time with it. He thinks he's I'm doing him a huge favor. It just means I get to go beat the shit out of my own car every once in a while.
Right.
It's free track days for me. That's all I heard. And this week, Randy made a killer, a very nice thumbnail in a damn hurry, but he's working on a really baller one for next week because we figured out our topic real fast today. So next week will be a good time too. We are not even going to get into what that's going to be, but it is something that is desperately needed within the community, and I expect everybody to share that ever living effing ish out of it. So yeah, there was a lot of grind my gears today, and it was a lot of the same stupid questions. And I'm like, dude, you shouldn't be modifying your car if you don't know these basic things. So either way, yeah, it's gonna be a good one. So today, I think we're gonna kind of catch up on the news. There's been some interesting Subaru news. That is, interesting. I'm a little torn on this one, but the rumors were true. Subaru did make an STI.
They sure did for the Japanese market, but tell me everything, Dewey.
Oh, I'll tell you what I know. Okay, so Subaru's been making it's like their S class of cars ever since the S201. I don't know if a lot of people even realize why they started at 201. There's a reason for it.
Oh, what's that?
Oh, you didn't know? Should I let you know?
No, tell me.
Okay, so Subaru, way back in the late 90s, was I don't know if they were like dared to do it or they just felt like they wanted to, but and it really wasn't even Subaru. It was STI specifically. They wanted to go over 200 miles an hour with an Impreza, and they made this concept car, which was based off of a 4-door GC, and it was called the Electra. And if you look this up, the Subaru Electra, that's what it was. It was a pretty wildly powered and strangely aerodynamic. It had a really wild body kit on it. And they managed to pull it off. They went 201 miles an hour, and they were very proud of this feat. And then they made a tribute car, and it was called the S201. And that's where the S series started.
Wow. I did not know that.
Yeah, that's actually where it came from. If you look up the Subaru Electra, it looks just like an S201.
I knew Subaru did like mileage endurance challenges. I
Mhm.
wasn't as aware of the 200 mile an hour mark, but that makes sense from like the old test course whose name escapes me and it's now just demolished.
Yeah,
The top speed runs from the Midnight
from
Club
that
guys.
motoring and all that. Yeah, the
Mhm.
really high bank thing. Yeah, and they went 201 miles an hour with a Subaru.
Wow.
So got it done. Oh, there we go. And there's an Electra in the chat, and if you look at it, that looks a lot like an S201. And except
Wow.
it's way cooler.
Oh my gosh, that is very 90s. That is very, very
It's
like
so
peak
cool.
JDM. Okay.
Now show an S201 when somebody gets a chance. Show an S201. Because the S201 looks really similar. It almost looks like the eBay body kit version of an Electra.
I mean, yeah, that one looks like an eBay body kit of itself. Oh my
Nah,
gosh.
you need to look at an S201.
You had to
And then
be
you're
there.
gonna see what I'm
Yeah.
talking about. Because that was a very, very one-off car. S201. So similar but different.
Oh
Same
wow, yeah.
thing.
See, I've seen that picture, and that one seems more put together, a little bit less eBay. You know, I could see that being sold at an actual car dealer.
It was. Either way.
It's a GC.
This
Big
is
old
one of
body kit.
Oh, like, let's say you're in street class. Okay, I'm just going to throw this out here. Street class with grid life, or maybe you're in some other class that forces you to have OEM aero or OEM replica aero. And you're trying to find a way to get some downforce. Go get yourself some S201 stuff.
Executive producer Jordan, is that a picture of an S201 from
That's a
an
real one.
American dealer?
That's
It
a real one.
sure is.
Oh my gosh.
There's been a few of them here.
Mega rare.
This was posted a year ago on the subreddit, WRC subreddit.
Wow.
Doesn't
That's
say
cool.
where at, but it is a S201 here in the States.
That's cool. Somebody knows their stuff.
So
Good for
one of
them.
the things I've always wanted to do and just kind of never did it is the S201 front bumper. If you look at it, sits out. Ooh, sneeze.
Bless you.
The S201 front bumper, which is an OEM bumper, sits out quite a ways compared to the your typical OEM GC bumper. And the way the rules read is you can go 5 inches off of OEM body lines. That would probably add 1.5 inches or so to my front splitter. No problem.
Nice. Get you some good downforce that way.
I would really like to get a hold of one of those bumpers. I just never have had a chance to. They're not easy to get a hold of. It'll also allow us to do some really stupid shit in the rear if we took that bumper and then cut it all up. So if we could find an OEM S201 esque, because you can use replicas. So a replica S201, I don't want to chop up a real one.
No.
And then hack it the hell up. We can have a pretty sick setup. Might have to do that. Steph says, can you get, yes, I can run a replica bumper. So yes, there are a couple people that actually make them. They ask a little more for them than they probably should though.
Okay. So
yeah,
we're on the S210, and
that's where the S chassis started. Okay.
Yep.
And then Subaru from STI, I should say, because this is derived from STI. STI in every version of the STI, the WRX STI that came from Subaru, they made an S style, an S version. Okay, so the S202 was a bug eye, the S203 was a peanut eye, the S204 was a hawk eye, and so on and so on. By the way, the S203, the best looking one by a long shot. I will fight anybody who tells me otherwise. Here in the States, we got the S209.
Yes, on the V8 chassis.
On the V8 chassis, a lot of people remember the S209. A lot of really cool stuff with the S209. Upgraded turbo, all sorts of cool shit.
Subaru, Even
badass brakes, cool interior.
they
People
set
remember
up they set up a sister company the way Toyota has Lexus. Subaru spent that money to get STI as the car manufacturer for the S209. That's cool.
that. So again, Subaru and funding STI. STI's made some really cool stuff. And I guess they didn't want to skip the VB. So we got revealed just the other day at Tokyo Auto Salon, I think is what's going on over there right now. The S210, which is kind of exciting. We're excited. And I saw the outside of it at first, and I'm like, okay, I'm feeling this. It's got some big wheels, it's got some upgraded brakes, it's got a pretty wild wing, and S series cars always have a whack ass wing. Always something going on with a wing. I think a lot of people were poo pooing on the wing. I really wasn't. You're gonna have an extreme wing on these cars, okay? It's kind of what they're going for. I saw the seats. The seats look incredible. Looks like Recaro made some badass seats. And then in the middle of the car, I saw the problem. They put a damn CVT in it.
They sure did. They put an automatic in it, CVT.
They put a CVT in it specifically. And I can't believe it. It would have been so easy for STI themselves to get a hold of some STI 6-speeds and shove those in there. And it would have, oh my God, it would have melted the internet, even if it didn't make much more power. Okay, so they're rated out. Did you see the power output? I didn't see what it was. It's a hair over 300, I think.
It's 296 horsepower, 277 pound-feet of torque, which is less than the S209 by about 40 and 30, respectively. I'm sorry, 40 and 60.
They did dial it down a
Sure
decent
did.
amount. Okay. But it's up from a WRX, and also understand that this is based off the WRX. Okay, it's not based off the STI.
So
This
how
is
can they call it
technically an
STI?
STI. It's because STI built it.
Fair, I guess.
This
Right.
is where it gets a little weird. Is STI not only as a model, but Subaru Technica International is a company within a company.
Yeah, it's their subdivision. Yeah.
It is a subdivision, and so that's where the STI part of that actually comes from. So technically, it's an STI. It is a
Right.
WRX STI S210, and it is highly disappointing.
Well, let's talk about this. So
Yeah, let's talk about it.
I don't remember if Japan has an STI trim level of the WRX right now. I
They
know
do
they
not.
can't. They do not. Okay. So this is okay. It's one step up, but it's the S class. So it's a WRX S210. Although STI is in the name, making it sound like it's based on the STI, the model, but
STI
maybe it's not.
So essentially what this is a WRX S210. And it's I
Right.
think what the theory is again, STI has done every generation all the way back to the GC. They've done some sort of S car for it. And I think they felt that they needed to do one. And they did. And I believe they tainted it. I think they should have just skipped the generation.
Let's see here. So WRX, I'm looking at the news release. They do call it an STI complete car, but oh yeah, that's not obvious. But then again, we are looking at machine translated Japanese
Sure.
news
But
posts here.
STI logos and all sorts of crap on it.
Oh yeah, it looks the real deal.
Yeah, it looks like an STI. Okay.
It's got a lot of carbon. It's got a lot of cosmetics.
You know what it doesn't have?
A manual transmission.
I don't even give two shits about that, and I think that's going to blow people's minds. Let's say that STI went in and did some jam on the CVT, or they felt we could make a unique and interesting driving experience using the CVT out of because the new CVT is based off of the same one that's in the Ascent, and they're all using that same CVT, which honestly, I got to be real. That CVT ain't bad. Okay, I'm not that
I
mad
agree.
about it, but it's still got kind of a trash center differential. It's got an open front diff and an open rear diff.
Yep. Took the words right out of my mouth. It is
And
not an STI for that reason.
it's what are you doing?
How
Like,
much can
no matter
you?
what, this car isn't going to be. I don't care how much work they did with it. I'm sure it's probably a giant step up from a WRX. Okay.
Mhm.
But it's not an STI. Like, you have to have the differentials. Like, it would have been awesome if they would have, like, what if they shoved DCCD and even kind of a whatever rear diff? They just throw a helical in the rear. It doesn't even have to be an R180, just something. Okay.
Mhm.
I would have been way more on board, even if it was still a CVT. I would have been very interested to drive this vehicle. They could have even left the front diff open.
Yeah, they have to be relying on like a brake-based differential to get the car to nose in. But if you're a driving enthusiast, you're going to turn that off for track use, so then it's not there.
Not only are you going to turn that off, and I don't know this for sure, but I'm going to put money on they did not tune that in any way. I guarantee that it's the exact same system that runs in the normal WRX as it sits.
I can see that.
And which kind of sucks. Okay. Like, I gotta be real. Man,
I'm
mad.
with you. So it's got less power. That's not the end of the world. It's
Yeah.
got it. The fact that it doesn't have a center differential, I agree with you. The fact that it has a CVT, I'm with you, and I'm glad you said this. It doesn't bother me because CVTs were banned in Formula One a long time ago because they were too good. I can totally see a world where there's a
I don't,
good driving experience from a CVT.
they didn't ban it because it was too good. They banned it because it could have been too good.
Okay.
They
Okay.
got in front of that when they saw what the ramifications of that would be. Plus, let's be real. When people think of Formula One right now, even to this day, they think of like big wings and crazy shit and a shriek of a V8 or V10 engine tear-assing by at like 18,000 RPM. Like, the sound of F1 to them is still this crazy shrieking. You
Right.
know
That
what I
hasn't
mean?
been there for a long time. Right.
It hasn't, but that's what's in their brain. If we would have had CVTs, we would have never got that sound.
Mm-hmm. You're right. So the car comes with 19-inch wheels, 255 tires, which is it's a big tire, and it comes equipped with Michelin Pilot Sport 4S. So decent tires. This
It's
car, it's a heavy car, 255. It's my first impression when I saw this news post was this looks like a weak Nissan GTR, and I don't like that.
I didn't get that at all. I'm actually very surprised you said that. What I got out of it is it looks like something you would see at a car show that somebody threw some money at. Like Varus released a wing and, some like bolt-on stuff, and they put a nice set of Recaro seats in it, and the guy put
Mm.
a really nice set of JDM wheels on it. Like a JDM enthusiast who really cares about their paint is who put this together.
Yeah, it's a nice looking car. The seats are fantastic. I like the wing.
I think
The
they look
wheels.
great. I'd be interested to see how they feel. I would be worried that they look much better than they feel, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm pretty tall, so I can already tell you that the shoulder bolsters are going to be below my shoulders, and it's not good. So,
Yeah.
and we're Americans. We're good old boys, so we're big guys.
I got somebody in the chat says it looks like a riced out Dodge Dart. I don't know if I'd go that far, but
Now, where I
one
was
thing
going with the
I did notice
tires.
is they didn't paint the fender flares, which
That's true.
I'm okay with that. I actually think the fact that they didn't paint the fender flares and left some of the other stuff unpainted and in that blue, I think the offset looks nice. I think with the wing, you add more black to it, and they added a couple other like accent pieces. I think it makes the fender flares not stick out so bad, and I think it actually looks okay. I hardly see the fender flares on these cars anymore.
Yeah, I agree with that. So I just found the English translation of the Japanese news post. So it's not machine translated. They did it. And this is the quote, first S series vehicle to feature the Subaru performance transmission. Let's just pause right there. Subaru tried to market this in America the exact same way. They did not call it a CVT. They went out and said Subaru performance transmission. Now, I do think this is a marketing failure because I bet that transmission is really good, but people don't believe it. So I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt here that it is better in some way.
Hey, they can't call it the Subaru performance transmission when the manual is faster to 60.
Yeah, I agree with
Okay,
that.
I'm sorry. It just is what it is. Now, all of these other companies with dual clutches and 8 HPs and all sorts of stuff, the manual in a lot of cases is not faster to 60. In this case, the manual just annihilates it.
Yep. Now, the reason I brought up the tires and the fact that it makes me feel like it's a slow, weak GTR is that it's only got 300 horsepower. It's got massive 19-inch wheels, which there's some argument for this in favor, but still a little bit strange to me. No diffs, that's where weakness comes from. It's got the electronic controlled dampers, which was from the WRX GT, so very expensive WRX.
Yep.
And then massive Brembos, which is actually nice. Last thing, electric brake booster. So that's pretty cool. But
I'm a little
overall,
terrified of that.
I'd be interested to know how that drives versus a vacuum-based system.
I'm very interested to know how that drives too. I'm going to reserve my judgment for that, but that terrifies me a little bit. That terrifies me a little bit. I would prefer to see that stay a manual thing, a very analog thing. Your brakes are still going to work if the booster isn't working. You just got to put more effort into it.
Right.
So it's not the end of the world. It's the same thing like it. Let me put it to you this way. People tell me I'm crazy and they talk about how great the electric power steering is in the BRZ. And it is. It's very good. But I have had situations where I'll be doing a full session with the car and I'll hit a really high load situation and I will feel the power steering come in and out. Like it's quick, but like it freaks out because I'm hitting like max load on it.
Right.
I would be a little worried that same concept could happen with the booster.
Yeah, I could see that. Oh, another thing to point out. The driver and passenger seats are 8-way power. So that's a heavy.
Oh my God, how heavy is that? Now
I don't know.
Seats.
Yeah, and if power seats for tall guys like me, they reduce headroom because you got to put all those motors under there. So
come on, guys.
This is not the Spec C stripper model that you go out to the racetrack with. This is like
series cars normally are not Spec C stripper models, just so you know.
I know. I'm just saying that this is a
Luxo barge is what we have here that they're trying to pass off as an S series. The S series is supposed to be the pinnacle of performance and the entire STI catalog thrown at it.
Yep. These tires are 255 Michelin Pilot Sport 4S. Those are fine. That's a lot of tire, but it's not an infinite amount of tire. So I would think that you would eventually need mechanical differentials to get that car around a corner. I don't think you want to rely on electric-based stability control or slip diffs.
Have you translated the price of it?
They did not mention the price.
Okay. If we go off of what other S series cars are and kind of what things are, it's going to be like 80 grand. Okay.
Yeah.
It's terrifying. I truly believe the aftermarket, and we've said this about the old S series cars, but there's something to an S series car. This time, I think the aftermarket drastically outpaces what they put together. Adam brought up an interesting point. He says Honda's been doing, I'm assuming he's talking about the electronic brake booster. They've been doing that for years and it's actually worked out great, made by Bosch, he thinks. Yeah, I think that's cool. I mean, it's nice to hear somebody else has been doing it. I'd be interested to try it. It freaks me out because I feel like I find the limits of a lot of things that maybe other people don't. Probably for your average consumer, that's not a big deal. But if I'm spending $70,000 on a souped up WRX, I'm gonna want that. I'm gonna want that to
Yeah,
work.
I like his comment here, and I believe that it is worth considering, but it's a marketing problem. So it's almost a chicken and egg problem. So we've got a friend. His name's Chris. He's got a WRX GT,
That
and
car's
he's got a
great, by the way.
oh yeah. I haven't driven it, but I totally believe it.
It's great.
And it's got a mild tune on it, just fine, but there's no transmission tuning available for it. Probably a cob problem, but still, like
I
you
think
would
that's
think.
coming soon. I
I've
think
heard
it's
that
maybe
for the
soon or maybe
last
it's already out. I
6 months.
okay.
Now, the STI, I'm sorry, S210, they do say it's got a dedicated ECU and transmission control unit, which I'm sure it just means tuning and mapping, but that's at least a positive. So wait and
Sure.
see.
Hey, I'm interested to see if and when Cobb messes around with a CVT, what more we can get out of that. I can tell you Chris's car feels really good. I'd like to see Chris's car with a, you know, around 400, 420 horsepower, which is pretty easy to do on the FA24, which is, it's not all that hard to do. I'd love to see Chris's car like that and go toot around, and tail the dragon or a track or something. Nothing super high speed, but more like, a little tighter. I'd like to see how that car throws around. But I think you're better off buying a WRX GT, even with a CVT, if that's kind of the route you want to go,
Mhm.
and modifying that. I think you're going to end up with a better end result. I really do.
Okay, maybe. I like me some STIs. I like me some special
You
edition cars.
use warranty for a reason. You love buying shit from Subaru,
I
and you
sure
eat
do.
Subaru shit up. But with that stated, like you have to admit this sucks.
It's an expensive car, and it's not an STI. It's a WRX that's just been, popped up. It's kind of a
Okay,
weird feeling.
no, no,
I
no,
think.
step back. I'm just gonna ask a real simple question here.
Okay.
Who the fuck is this car for?
People younger than us. So the people that buy
Ooh,
VBs are not the same people that bought
hey,
VAs or
hey,
GRs.
you're right. I'm not saying you're wrong, even though you are a little wrong because I see the people who are calling in the age group that they're in.
That's
But
true.
let's assume that I'm wrong on that, okay? And this is towards a younger crowd, okay? A younger person cannot afford a $70,000 WRX.
Or even
Okay.
a $40,000 WRX.
They're
Like,
having issues buying $40,000 WRXs, exactly.
yep.
So a $70,000 WRX ain't a thing.
No,
And again,
it's
we're
okay.
probably not getting that here. We're not getting it here. But with that stated,
Who's buying the limited edition car? It's not young people. You're totally
it's
right.
not young
It's so
people.
expensive.
Now, don't get me wrong. Halo cars sell, you know, lesser cars. A Halo vehicle is going to sell. You have higher models. More WRXs get sold because the S209 existed. You know what I mean? And I believe there's some truth in that. But this isn't going to appeal to that. You know what I mean?
I
I
think my confusion lies in the fact that the STI was discontinued, and then this is too much of a surprise. If
we kept getting like hints. There's an STI coming. There's an STI coming, and I'm 99% sure this is the STI they said was coming. You remember,
yeah,
like Subaru was swearing up and down, the STI's dead. We're not getting an STI version of this generation.
yeah,
Don't wait for it. And then out of nowhere, we started getting all these rumors. Like middle of last year, we even did a show on it.
hmm I
That
remember.
STI's coming, STI's coming, STI's coming. We're like, okay, well, what does an STI need to even look like? And it ain't this.
Yeah, and if that WRX GT is in fact, let's say, a rebranded STI,
Sure.
like down tiered, then that would be a really weird car. We'd have the same argument, but this time 12 months ago, which is it's got no differentials that are mechanical. It's got big ass brakes. and it's got electronically controlled dampers by ZF. Why do you need that? And oh my God, it's got a CVT. I feel like we're just delaying the inevitable, which is why are you doing this? And why aren't you explaining how much better it is?
Yeah. Honestly, we want to, if it is better, explain to us why it's better. Because nowhere in this can I see me going, I want this because of whatever. Like a fancy STI strut bar is not going to get me running running down to the dealer if I were in Japan. Again, we're not getting this, but to me, Subaru just a company. I can't. But to me, I cannot think of another company that is more tone deaf to what's going on right now. They're so deaf.
Yeah, the S209 was really cool, but it was also limited production, 209 copies made for $65,000. You can't give them infinite credit for that because it's a small piece of a bigger problem. So BRZ TS, that's a great car. They've done nothing wrong with that. Regular BRZ, nothing wrong with that either. WRX is such a weird car right now, man. And I'll tell you what, if an STI existed right now, I would not buy a BRZ. I would have bought an STI just because I liked my previous one so much. And I really liked having 4 seats and all these things. But if I had to like sit there unseen, like not a chance to drive that car, and it was a CVT STI, that would be really, really hard for me. There's got to be something they can do to explain that this is actually better. Trust us. More than trust us.
Well, the other problem they're going to have, okay, is a manual transmission is not the fastest way to get to 60 miles an hour anymore. Okay. There was a time where the STI, back in the 2000s, whatever, where the STI could it could hang its hat on its numbers. Okay. Look at the performance you can get for this price.
Right.
And if they were to release an STI right now, at a minimum, it'd be a $50,000 car.
Yes, that's right.
Okay. So right now, there's absolutely no way if you were to release an STI based off of the VB, and let's say I'm gonna shoot the moon here, and I'm gonna say they put the STI 6-speed in it and made 350. Okay. Even then, they're not going to be able to hang their hat on the numbers. So what they're going to have to hang their hat on is the driving experience. And in no way can I see a CVT with open diffs being the driver experience car.
Yeah, I agree. And I do not like brake-based limited slip differentials. They burn out your brakes, and they're not actually as good as mechanical. So why lean on that technology? It's cheaper, I guess, but there's no real redeeming quality to driving experience, in my opinion.
Yeah. No, I agree with that too. But I mean, if I'm buying a $70,000 car, I want super badass brakes. What I would want out of an STN, what other people would want out of an STI are different things. And if more of those cars existed, you would get, more aftermarket support for the brakes and stuff like that. And it wouldn't be that big of a deal.
Yep. Manuals are fine, but I'm not like some manual purist. Care a lot more about driving experience. And I don't know what to think. I haven't driven one.
If you were to take an STI, I'm going to go back on this. If you were to make a modern STI, and I don't believe they would be okay with the CVT running around at 350. Okay. So they would probably I'm going to assume they would put the STI 6-speed in it because we'd want the differentials, and this is already existing technology. You know what I mean? They can sell DCCD, they can sell 3 differentials, yada, yada, yada. They would have to sell it as a driver experience car, which I think is a great idea. This car is fun. This car dynamically is really good, and then they need to sell the dream of, rally legends of the past and stuff like that. And, that's the heritage of that vehicle. That's how they have to sell it.
Yeah.
And I think they would sell it, but
it needs enough power to get out of its own way. And that's it. And the rest is just driving experience, and just go all the way with that.
It needs enough power to feel a little dangerous.
Yeah.
Not real dangerous, just a little bit. Like you need enough power to feel like you can get into some trouble with it.
Yep.
That's it. And for its size, it's going to need like 350.
Yes. Totally agree.
You know, if what's I wish anybody, you know what, of all people, I doubt you have ever done this because you came in so late into this.
10 years
Wish you
ago being late.
well, it really is. I would love you to drive a bone stock '04 STI and see how batshit that car actually was.
Now, I've driven old GD STIs, but they were all stage 2 cars, and that was such a
Like,
joy.
they're really good, don't get me wrong. An '04 bone stock '04 STI was something else, especially if it didn't have the radio. You hear
Oh,
everything hitting the bottom because it had almost no sound deadening in it. The glass was thinner. Like you heard everything from the rear diff because the rear subframe was solid mounted.
yep.
Like it was raw, really raw. And it was unreal how fast that car was because it was a good chunk lighter than even the STI that came a year later.
Yeah. Now, hear me out. I got a counterpoint for you. I asked somebody high up at Subaru last year at the Chicago Auto Show, why don't you make cars like that anymore? He said, essentially, this is my quote, not his. Focus groups don't like that. There's a reason there's 6-piston big ass Brembos on the WRX is because that's what sells the car. I didn't press him on it too much, but I guess the younger guys don't want that raw feeling car anymore. They want Bluetooth, they want nice sound deadening, they want,
I'm not
bigger
saying
car.
that's even a bad thing. What I'm trying to say is just that experience was wild. Like,
Oh yeah.
there's no way they could sell that car now, dude.
Yeah.
There's no way.
So
But I tell you what, it was crazy they were selling it then.
yeah.
It was nuts, man. The car was
The
nuts.
best cars are like that, where you look back and go, oh, this is incredible. How did they ever sell this?
Yeah,
So
it's
in
wild.
conclusion, I am neutral. I am skeptical, but I could go either way, man. I really could. Now I'm seriously upset about lack of mechanical differentials, but I am nonetheless neutral.
We have to move. We got two more topics we got to nail here real
Yep.
quick.
All right.
The second topic has me almost as annoyed as the first topic. So
All right.
let's get right into that. There was some stuff that happened at Tokyo Auto Show that a lot of people didn't even see. We're going to talk about it. Warranty, lay it on us because you own a BRZ.
Okay. So Subaru announced that they are going to offer a Sport Drive eTune. It's a service update that updates the throttle mapping for manual transmission vehicles, as well as the transmission shift characteristic for the automatics. And it's 5,500 yen, which is about $300 USD. This is a throttle mapping, and it's a cost. I want to say it's for 2022 to 2024, bringing it up to the new models, which now come with sport modes. They're sort of, backporting it for people like
Straight
me.
up, this is on Subaru's side. This is low key a little bit on the genius part where they're like, hey, this physically costs us nothing to do, and these people are going to feel like this is very Porsche sounding, in my opinion.
Mhm.
Where we're going to charge you for doing borderline nothing. This will take them 10 seconds to do to flash this on.
Yep.
And your throttle mapping will feel different. And you and I had a whole discussion on the difference in the throttle mapping between the GR86 and the BRZ, and how the BRZ actually kind of has some lazy throttle mapping compared to the GR86, which is a bit more aggressive.
Right.
And when we're talking about throttle mapping, what we're talking about is you no longer have a cable that goes from your foot to the throttle body. Where your foot is on the throttle is not 1-to-1 proportional to what is going on at the throttle body.
Yep. It's what the computer decides.
Yes, the computer decides to make it feel a certain way or however it needs to be. On a Subaru, it tends to be fairly lazy down low and then ramps up fairly hard.
Right.
On a GR86, it tends to ramp up fairly hard really early.
Right.
So it feels snappier.
Yep.
And I
So
bet you if you drove a GR86 and a BRZ back-to-back bone stock and you knew nothing about these cars, you would think the GR86 is a faster car.
100% agree. Yeah. And it shows in the data. So when you're at low RPM and you put the throttle down 50%, it's 100% open at the throttle body, which means it's full gas. And that changes when you go up higher in the RPM range. But yeah, it feels really aggressive because it is.
Around a track, they're probably going to turn identical times. You know what I mean? Or,
Yeah.
or extraordinarily similar, because when you're up past like 70-80% throttle, they're going to be pretty much wide open.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Both of them, the mapping is going to be really similar. It's down low where the
Driving
GRE6
experience.
is going to feel snappy and the BRZ is going to feel kind of lazy. And again, this goes into driving experience, just like you just said, where I'm not sure what the thought process was on it, but Subaru's like, we could just charge you an extra $300 to make it snappier.
Yeah, now they built that first throttle map for their intended customer, and then people complained about it because Toyota did something different, and it kind of made Subaru look bad. I originally thought it was a linear throttle. It's not. It's lazier than that, and then it ramps up in the last, quarter of the throttle pedal, and then it really goes to what you want. So, do I think they're just, copy pasting the Toyota tune? Probably not, but I bet they did say, this kind of looks bad. Let's go back to the drawing board and build it again. And that has a cost. So, I'm actually not mad about them charging for it. I'm glad they went back and revised, older cars.
Okay, so let me put it this way. First off, did we confirm that the newer ones have that throttle mapping? Is that what sport mode is?
I know that sport mode is a throttle map change, and from reading the Japanese news post, it sounds like it only applies to 2022 to 2024 model years, which makes me think that they're just backporting what is now called sport mode into the older cars.
So I'm not mad about maybe charging for an hour of labor. Okay,
Right.
I think this should be like $100 thing, that if you want to come in and pay $100, because there's nothing wrong with your car, but this is a cool way to update it. I think 300 is a little steep. I think it's kind of a dick move.
300 plus labor. That's just the cost of the tune, by the way.
Which is, again, okay, then super dick move, because it's going to be a $400 to $450 thing. Honestly, by the time you get out the damn door, it's $500 to remap your throttle.
Yeah.
And at that point, you're at $500. Go buy a fucking access port.
Totally agree. Yes, I 100% agree. Now, I'm not super. The price is too high. I'm not mad about it because I'm glad they're offering this option. But in terms of like dollars and cents, yeah, just go get an access port, pay your tuner to do exactly what you want, and you get more for your money. Totally agree.
Yeah, go get an access port. Your car is going to drive better. You're probably going to pick up a few extra horsepower. Your car's probably going to be more reliable, and your car is probably going to get better gas mileage. It's just going to be more efficient, just due to Cobb having the ability to reorganize their priorities, because they are not the OEM.
Yeah.
And the throttle mapping will feel great. I'd recommend.
Now,
But they don't warranty the access port.
That's
Adam's right. They don't warranty the access port.
That's right. You're paying the OEM price tag, and I'm not mad about it, but I'm also not thrilled about it. So
Can Subaru just throw? Can Subaru please just throw the enthusiast a frickin' bone here? Just act like you love us in some way. Just act like it. Pretend. You know how cool it would be if Subaru's like, how about this? They say they're going to charge $300 for all of this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But then they're like, hey, Subaru dealerships, Subaru dealers are allowed to throw like meat. Okay. And they get all their BRZ owners in there. Like they're going to have a BRZ meet and like have their local groups organize it.
Yep.
And then they do it for like $100 out the door.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. You say, okay.
That be and like really like kind of put some community behind it.
Totally.
They're still going to make a killing on this because they're going to sell a shitload of these.
Right. And the margins are infinite, right? Because it's a software update.
It's insane because it's just a hunk of software.
Yeah.
And then they get all these they get heaps of enthusiasts coming in and hanging out and looking at new shit and
Yeah.
having a meet in the parking lot.
And
And,
people think it's cool. They go, all right, there's 10 BRZs lined up. Everybody's getting a deal. Let's say it's 50% off. It's $150. All right. Tech just plugs into your car. Here you go. Paying you $150. Maybe they have a cookout. All right. People remember that. That's an experience and it's at your dealer.
they talked about that for years.
It's a
man.
great idea.
Why? Like, it's so. They haven't not done that yet. So let me not slam Subaru for
Oh.
not doing something
Oh,
yet.
yeah, it's a great idea.
I don't know if anybody from Subaru corporate listens to this, but you guys would be morons if you didn't do this. It would be so easy. You would literally pay for the absolute best advert. They would pay you to advertise for you. It would be incredible.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah. That's I think it's a great idea. So the S210, the STI Japan site did publish that post in English. These other two that we're talking about, first the BRZ throttle map, has not been posted as a translation. So we're reading off the Japan site. So maybe it's not coming to America, but of course it's too early to tell.
Yes, but I'm going to tell you right now, again, Subaru of America. I just gave you the easiest piece of marketing on earth. And you could do something for the enthusiast.
Yep.
Okay. Do something for the enthusiast. Or better yet, send a tech, your local Subaru dealer, to whatever Subi event you got going on near you. So like a Boxer Fest, a Wicked Big Meet, something like that. Whatever dealership's kind of involved with that. Go over there and sell them for $100 and just knock those things out.
Yep. That's a great idea.
Just bro down.
Yep. Just have a tent, take people's money. You go out to the parking lot because wheels don't move at the Subaru events. And then you plug it to the car. People, post it on Instagram and they're stoked.
Oh, they would eat it up.
Costs you nothing.
Costs you nothing. You'll pay for that tech, no problem. That tech will have a riot being there.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I'm like,
up so the tech also gets a ride with Travis, in one of the crazy cars doing some kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Like, really lean into the damn thing and then post it up on Facebook and Instagram. Oh my God.
It's going to go all over Instagram as, look at this, Subaru's tuning my car. And people eat that stuff up. People like, oh my God, imaginations would run wild.
Oh my God! What are we doing? Come on! And then I'm not asking for much. Just care about the enthusiast a little bit.
Yep.
We'll take care of the rest here at IAG. We got you. Okay.
Right.
But just act like you give a shit. That's it.
The problem is these automotive journalists have a lot of cars to review versus enthusiasts who care really deeply about one car. Like, I really want to know, how does that STI drive with a CVT? How does it really drive? Tell me everything.
I'm with you. I'm totally with you. And then there's tons of opinion, including us out there. Like, I've already made an opinion about the S210. You know what I mean? I have already made an opinion and I have yet to drive it.
Totally.
Yep. I don't even know how much it costs.
Yep.
This would be a $2,000 upgrade and they're only doing 200 of them. It's like the first people who hit the door get it, and at that point I would be so far off base about the shit that's coming out of my mouth. A lot of assumptions are being made here. Okay.
Let's make some more assumptions. Let's go on to topic number 3, shall we?
Sure. Let's assume.
Okay. So again, this is another Japanese news post.
This is a good one.
Yes.
This is a good one.
From early December, Subaru announced a new Boxer hybrid, strong hybrid. So what that means is they're actually going to have 2 motors in the car. One's for power generation and one is for the gas engine assist. They describe the batteries as series parallel. So that makes me think that it's going to be high output, but relatively low total battery capacity. But those motors, the 2.5 liter gas engine makes about 180 horsepower. Subaru in Japan calls it 160. Meanwhile, the electric motor assist apparently makes about 118 horsepower. So if you add those two up, it's over 250 horsepower. It's probably not how it's going to work in a Crosstrek, but wouldn't it be cool to have 250 horsepower in a Crosstrek? Gravel Express, baby.
Gravel Express. If that is how we got the Gravel Express, sign me the fuck up.
Yeah. And the batteries can charge your camping gear. This is a match made in heaven.
I know it's not going to work like that, but God, do I want it to.
Yep.
I would be so about that car. I would be so about that car. I love my Crosstrek. I just want it to have more oomph. But Bailey has a 2.5 liter one, the newer one.
Right.
Okay. And it's got a good amount more oomph, but just not enough for me to go, I have to upgrade. Close. You
Right.
know, but it's not scratching that itch. Really what I want is a WRX engine. And I
Right.
know we're probably not going to get that because it's not going to get the gas mileage, and Subaru's already having a hard time making the EPA, standards for gas mileage. I get that. But if this is how we manage to get it, okay, and imagine, because it's probably going to get some ridiculous gas mileage too, would that not be the most every person car? I'd be totally fine with a CVT with that. I would be down.
Oh,
That would
I would
so
too.
great.
I've been thinking to myself, if I was going to go camping, what car would I bring? And high on my list would be a Rivian, but I would totally buy a Crosstrek if I could just
Oh,
sleep in climate comfort overnight. That would be great.
So Adam goes, a Crosstrek WRX should be offered. It should be, and they should call it the Gravel Express. Somebody
Right.
go look up Gravel Express, post it in the chat. But they made this car in the 90s, and it kind of looks like a 90s Outback Sport, but it had a WRX engine, and it had a sweet brush guard on the front, and it had a spare tire holder on the back, and it had these Gravel Express graphics on it, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
And I want one really bad, okay? But a modern one would be amazing.
Yep.
And I want it. I want it, and it could be a Crosstrek so easy. Like, give us a fast Crosstrek. And I'm not talking ballistic. I'm just talking like, give it a little oomph. A WRX based one wouldn't be bad, but I think their argument might be, we're already having issues making cafe standards or whatever to our average fuel mileage needs to be a certain amount. If this is how they would get away with it, you know what? I could be okay with that. Oh my God. Yep. Perfect picture right there.
Yep. Those are two good pictures in the chat. A+.
Oh man, that's A+. I want that.
And it's good for camping, so it sticks with Subaru's mainline marketing. We're an
Dude,
outdoorsy car.
They could totally kind of use some of the colors they're using on the other wilderness editions or whatever. Yeah. Oh, dude, I would eat that up.
Dude,
I
we
would
are way more hyped about a Crosstrek Hybrid than the new STI.
That is the world we're in. What are we talking about here?
Right?
25 in a nutshell. You and I are getting amped up about a Crosstrek Hybrid, and we're angry about the S210.
Right. Oh man, is this what getting old feels like, or are we just?
I don't know, man. I don't. I'm scared. I need an adult, but I think I am an adult.
Couple of boomers ranting about Subaru, so here we are.
I don't know,
boomers. Oh,
but I think you would get enthusiasts a little excited about that too. I think it'd be a new, interesting aftermarket for that. I really do.
And it's got mechanical all-wheel drive still. It's got a large capacity fuel tank, and they had it in the news post, but then they took it out. But they did say in an earlier version that it's going to have a very long cruising range. So that's great. And it's got 1,500 watts of power to charge all of your devices while you're out in the backcountry. Like, that's...
I'm not even that mad about it being a CVT. Like I said, my buddy Chris, his WRX with a CVT, it ain't bad. Like, don't get me wrong, it's not going to be an enthusiast. Like, it's not going to be like the backyard the back road burner that we all kind of want, but it's going to be quick enough to get off the line decent and, be entertaining. And if you were to bomb down a dirt road, it's going to be fun.
Right.
But that's really what I want out of it. Like, you can't get that you could even get that out of an old 2.2 liter Outback Sport. My Crosstrek, it ain't it. You know what I mean? If you're going to go do some donuts in a parking lot, you'd have a good time. My Crosstrek, not really.
Yeah, you driving your Crosstrek where you live, you've got a bunch of rolling hills. I was a bit worried, but you know the suspension and the roads a lot better than I do.
Oh,
So
man, dude, it is that is the most fun you can have with that car is where I live right now and not slowing down for anything. You're grabbing ditch and spots, you're whatever you can do. You're ripping through hunks of people's driveway. You just don't slow down for nothing.
roller
Um,
coaster roads. Yeah.
yep. It's you kind of make sure you know where the weight's at and plant the car the best you can. It's
Right.
fun, but it's not it just needs a little more, and man, that having that like electric motor oomph, if that's really what this turns out to be,
Yep.
um, would be great. Now, with that stated, now I'm gonna say what I think it's gonna be.
Okay.
If we get any form of this, it ain't gonna make any more than 180 horsepower.
Yeah, okay. Probably.
I think they're gonna limit the living shit out of it.
So it's got a 16-gallon tank and it's quoted at 45 mpg. So that's 700 miles of range. Now they took out that quote for how long it could actually drive. 700 is a lot of miles.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So
That's getting down. That's me filling up here and driving to Chicago, no problem.
mhm.
That
You
would
get
be
tired.
sick.
You get tired before you need to fill up. Yeah.
Yeah. You
So
know,
I don't see why you would I don't see why you would put a 180 horsepower engine in a car and a 120 horsepower rated motor and then tell people that it's rated for 120 horsepower in the news release if you were going to keep the total system output the same.
yeah.
I hope not, but it could totally be. I don't know, man.
Jake, Jake in the chat just said, "I really wish they'd make a semi-off-roady Crosstrek, like a stock plus Wrangler compare."
They do.
I agree with what came after. Octo says that's what the wilderness is,
Right.
and that's really what the wilderness is. I think that kind of exists. I want something with some ass to it. I want it to get out of its own way.
Yep.
So
It's got a new
I don't know, man.
transaxle that's been developed exclusively for the strong hybrid. Two high output motors, one for drive and one for generating electricity, a front differential gear, and an electronically controlled center coupling in one package.
Don't break that trans. That thing's going to be expensive.
Yep. So
But I hope this is what we think it is. But the reality of it is I don't think that's what's going to come out the other end. Um, but God, how sick would that be if it actually was like a proper 250 and like you got some electric motor grunt down low to help it out.
yeah,
Then it really had that like it just made a good chunk of torque down low to really haul that thing. Oh my God, that'd be so much fun.
yep. The
And
electric
if
motor.
they got to keep it under 34-ish hundred pounds.
Oh, I have the weight here. Let's see here. It is 1660 kg, which translates to 3650.
I'd still think if I drove it and it didn't feel fat, I'd take it because the weight's
Oh.
going to be real low.
Oh yeah, and it'll be balanced because the batteries are in the trunk by the spare tire. So
Yeah,
yep.
no, it would be good. I'm telling you.
Quote, the electric motor is the main driver in a wide range of driving situations, while the engine drives the vehicle in areas where the motor is weak. So that sounds like a Prius, to be honest, and there's nothing wrong with that.
No, there's nothing wrong with it, but it's not what I want it to be. You know what I mean? I think it's going to be a good vehicle, and I'm happy it exists.
Yep.
I just what I'd like to see is them. Maybe there's such thing. I'm going to be hopeful that maybe there's more of a performance mode, that maybe it'll use the electric and the gas engines together to like
Right.
really try to amp it up when you want it, short squirts.
Yes, Hyundai has done this to great effect. Like the boost mode, this is the way forward for sporty electric anything.
Yeah. No, I
No.
think that if it had actual like zip,
Yep.
and I think the first time people drove it, they'd sell the shit out of it.
Totally agree. If this is the future, I'm here for it.
I got to be real. I think, modern Outbacks and Foresters and whatever, I think they're huge, giant vehicles. And I really don't want that. I really like the physical size of a Crosstrek.
Same
I don't
here.
want it any bigger. And I want it to have some ass. That's it.
Yep.
Yeah. That's my
Totally
2
agree.
cents.
Yeah, so there
I
we
mean,
are.
world, I would get the WRX engine in it, but I don't think that's ever going to happen. The
My
current FA24 is so good. God, you know what we should do at IAG?
What's
I'm going
up?
to say this maybe because I know Adam's in here. Maybe he's listening. Adam, we need to buy an old Crosstrek with a ton of miles, and we need to FA24 swap it. We need to make the Gravel Express, and we will just prove to them how good this is. Okay, we'll call it the Gravel Express. We'll put frickin' graphics on it that look like the old Gravel Express. We should even paint it the same color as that blue one. People lose their shit over it, and then maybe Subaru will build it. And we'll do it. People lose their mind, and then Subaru will copy us.
Do it in a modern Crosstrek. Pay somebody to do all the wiring. Put a CVT in it, and then let that be that.
No, Adam, you're right. Let's do it with the FA20. Let's do it with the FA20. We have because that should be fairly simple. Then we have good FA20 stuff to do it with. We probably have enough leftover car shit to do it with. Like, let's build this damn thing. I'm very tempted because my Crosstrek is paid off to drive it the fuck there. Let's do it. Please.
Yep. Gravel Express.
Crawford did it years ago, but nobody cared.
Yeah.
I said it.
One guy at BSC did it as well. Yep.
Yep.
It's painful, but it can be done.
I think it'd be a cool project. And I think if we approached it the right way, I think people would get excited about it too. I would be interested to see what that would take. I'd be interested to see how hard it would be to maybe make iWire make a bunch of harnesses for it. Like, let's just do it. Swap the whole all of it. Yep, need a WRX and a Crosstrek, but they're starting to get reasonably priced enough to where it wouldn't be the end of the world. You know, especially if you had you bought a WRX with a popped engine and we used an IAG 600 for it. So WRXs with popped engines are all over the damn place right now.
Yep. So that's the conclusion.
Just at all, I get that. I get it. But if they were doing one harness, not a bunch of crazy ones, and maybe we could work something with them. We're IAG. We're not nobody. We can make people do lots of stuff. We have a great relationship with those people. Ring up Brian. He might. I know. I'm actually trying to get him on the show, actually. They got some sick new product I can't talk about, but I am very excited about. Very excited about some of their new stuff. So
very nice. So we had neutral on the STI, neutral to negative on the BRZ throttle map, and strongly positive on the hybrid Crosstrek.
Yeah, what happened? All right. Well, we live in a new world.
Yep. I'm here for it.
All right.
Adventures every day.
I think we did a thing, man. Speaking of off-road Subarus, stay tuned Thursday. Well, there you go. We might not be doing the live cast recording on Thursday, but looks like we got some cool stuff coming through our socials on Thursday. So we're gonna check that out.
We'll tune in for that.
Yep. Alrighty. I actually know what this is, and it's actually really cool. It is pretty cool, and I'm pretty excited about it. I'm actually really excited to see that we're branching out into some new and interesting things with that product. So
nice. Good deal.
Cool. Yeah, I think that's it. You got anything you want to add?
No, that's it. I'm sorry for your loss, and hope you have a good week. Drive safe.
How's since everybody wants to know and we're at the end of the show, how's the love life going?
Sparkles is okay. Her asthma was really bad last week's show. She was suffering and didn't do very much, but she's on the mend, and that's all we need. So life is okay. She told me that she listens to the podcast just to get you an extra play. She doesn't really know cars very well.
Aw. Well, you know what? She doesn't have to know cars. You don't have to know cars for this. You might learn something about cars, but you don't have to know cars to be a part of this. It's supposed to be a big community of people from all different walks. You just have to kind of like Subarus, and this is your spot.
Yep.
So, All right, man. Well,
All right.
it's been real. It's been fun. It's been real fun, and we will see you guys next week.